What's up, Honey Badger Nation? Man, this is John Kitchens and episode 106 of Expert Mentors Live, and I am super excited for today's episode. We have Mr. Chuck Fazio on with us, and we're going to dive into a topic that I'm deeply passionate about, and I'm super excited because I know Chuck's going to bring the fire, and we're going to dive in on the topic of the people you surround yourself with are the people you become. So Chuck, say hello to the Honey Badger Nation.
Well, I'm excited to be here, John, and that's I get to talk to my tribe, and that's the cool part. What I could pour into.
For those honey badgers that might not have an idea of who you are, just if you wouldn't mind, give a little background about you yourself. Fascinating story. I don't know how deep you want to get into it, but definitely share a little bit about who you are.
Question is how deep do you want to go? I'll keep that a little brief. I grew up in New York, running clubs and running with some tough crowds. Let's put it that way. My life was miserable, and I didn't have that mindset at the time that who you surround yourself with, you become, and didn't realize that toxicity that I lived in was corrupting me and affecting my life. Moved out to Arizona, end of '98. Said, let me get a job where I can make a lot of money. So I got into real estate, and never even owned real estate in New York, and quickly realized how tough that industry of real estate is. And I was broke for the first 2 years. Met my wife in the business. We became partners. We were broke together. Almost got out of the business. And it's when it hit me, I'm watching people succeed, and not from an arrogant standpoint, but I'm like, I'm better than these people. Mm-hmm. And I just started to implement what I knew best. And, by the grace of God, is what we say. And within a couple of years, we were already ranked as one of the top agents in the country, ran one of the top teams in the country. We thought the natural progression of business was to own our own company. So in '05, we opened up the doors to our company, and just quickly built that to one of the top companies in Arizona, and then to one of the top companies in the country. And, we're just workers, and we're blessed in what we do. We love being a blessing to others. And we did. We built one of the largest brokerages, doing about $2 billion a year in production. And then obviously the EXP bug got in me, and it's easy. It's just math.
It's just math. I love that.
And it's been nothing but a whirlwind, and now we just could be a blessing to as many people as possible with sharing that thought. And I know, John, me and you have the same thought process of who you surround yourself with, you become. It is that important. And yet to most people, they look at it as, it can't be that easy. Oh, it is. It is. And you really need to take that seriously. And that's what I'll dive into today, of how serious that is, especially in the day and age we're living right now.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing how powerful just understanding this simple principle can really have a significant impact and change your life forever. And I think a lot of people, they lack the awareness. And so share a little bit for you where like when you realized you was like, I got to make a change. Like where did that awareness like click for you?
Yeah, that's a good question, because the way I was brought up and living in the streets and doing what I did, I was never taught business. I was never exposed to motivational speaking, and to hear people and who you surround yourself with wasn't really a concept that I thought about. And so when we opened up the brokerage, we were a franchise office at first for a local company that was a big company, but quickly realized that it was very toxic, the environment of being with that, associated with that company. And we quickly just started to branch off. And it was really me and my wife. Trying to find good people to surround yourself with wasn't something that we sought after, but we realized that it was important. And so just by sheer work, we grew to about doing maybe about 600 million in volume a year. And then one year, this is probably about 4 or 5 years ago, my wife said to me, "Hey, let's go to a Dave Ramsey seminar." Now, I'm going to backtrack 1 second because I did get some coaching and mentoring from different companies, and I just thought I was uncoachable because everybody I worked with, I'm like, I'm getting nothing out of it. It's a bunch of bullshit. But I started to realize that there are a lot of people that'll sell you on their crap. And I just thought I was uncoachable. I just weren't around the right people. So I never liked getting coaching. And so when my wife said, let's go to Dave Ramsey, now I knew Dave Ramsey from Financial Peace, and a lot of people know him because of that part of his business, but I never understood or realized that this man is a business genius. And he ran multiple businesses. It wasn't just Financial Peace. So it was a thing called EntreLeadership.
Yep.
And I'm the type of person that I can't sit in one place for a period of time. I get too antsy. My mind's always going. I can't concentrate. But it was for her birthday, and she said, I really want to go. And I said, fine, let's go. So we went to EntreLeadership, and it was a 4-day event. So we had to sit there from 8 in the morning till 6 at night. And to me, that's just hell. Like, I can't do that.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
But here's the crazy part. We were around other leaders and being around Dave, and even went to his house to talk to him. I quickly realized the power of being around bigger thinkers, people who truly care, people who are extremely successful, who shared the right thought process, the right mindset. And we walked out of that seminar, that event, 4 days of being there. We looked at each other, and mind you, we're successful already. We're doing 600 million. And we both looked at each other and we said, we don't know shit. And that was exciting. It was exciting. And so we started down this path, plugging into Dave and the people Dave associated with, like Dan Cathy, the owner of Chick-fil-A, and Alan Malady, the CEO for Ford Motor Company, who was at Boeing. I mean, people that made us look like peons. And I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I went through life with this ego trip that I always wanted to be the best in the room. And there's nothing wrong with striving to be the best. But you don't want to stay at the top of your game. You always want to go, all right, man, if I'm that big fish in this pond, I need to go find another pond to strive to be that big fish again. And that was the difference. And Dave, and being around his thinking and his business building and the people that you strive to be bigger because you felt like a peon, and it just opened up bigger doors. We took our company from 600 million a year to 2 billion. And Dave actually gave us an award that I don't think he ever gave out again. He called it the Momentum Award because of the extreme change of our business just by plugging into him and who he's associated with. That's what really opened the doors to go, I want to think bigger and bigger and bigger.
I love that. So, I mean, finding that moment, right? That life-changing, moment at that point. Like, what was like the action item that you guys did immediately coming out of that experience?
That's I don't know if I can answer that question to go, what was that action item? I could tell you the feeling, and I think this is what culminates everything on who you surround yourself with matters. Is the feeling that I'm talking to someone like face to face, when you're talking to a guy like Dave, his level of success dwarfed mine, and he was real to me. It was real, and it changed my mindset that there are better levels. There are different. It wasn't something that was out of reach. By being around those type of people and really seeing them and talking to them, and you go, they're human beings just like me. They don't have magical powers that I don't possess. And it's that mindset to go, I could do this. If they could do it, I could do it. They're real. It's not something that is a fictitious character that you know they exist, but they're not real to you. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's what hit me. And then going to these events and seeing these mega people, even somebody like Peyton Manning, and just having him speak to you, it's like you go from, they're no different than you, but they're different from you. And it triggered something in my mind going, we have another level to go to. I have weird analogies that just make sense in my mind. That I think about, and trust me, I'm not a gardener at all. I mean, I grew up in the concrete jungle. But I like analogies to gardening, like reaping and sowing and stuff like that. But it's like a plant. When you put it in a pot, it's only going to grow so much because it's contained to that certain pot. The roots can't grow.
Right.
But when you put it somewhere bigger, all of a sudden it starts growing. And that's how I felt. Put me in with other people that are bigger, and it's like your roots grow to them, and you become a sponge, and your mind starts to change, and you get excited. Because life's always going to throw you curveballs. There's no such thing as people thinking that there are not going to be obstacles. There is always obstacles. The question is your mindset capable of going through those obstacles? And I use that word through because that's a visual to me. Like I visualize, I'm just going through them as if they don't exist because I'm bigger than those obstacles. And when you're around those type of people, it feeds you. Feeds you. So I don't know if it was a certain thing, but it was definitely a mindset shift because I'm very competitive also. So
that really that fired you up in coming back and making those decisions. So speak to why do you think there's other people that have probably been in rooms that have been inspired just the same way as you were, but they don't make any changes. They don't make that exponential leap like you did. Like what do you think stops people from not going through and breaking through and moving forward?
Well, it's almost like we scripted this, John, because that was a perfect question to segue into the why. Why does that happen? Because me and you think, because that's what my mind said. My mind said, why do I think differently? Why is it different for me? What is that? Because look, everyone can say you could go to a motivational event and you walked out pumped, fired up. Any of them. You get in front of any good speaker, they fire you up. Why is that? What is the difference between the person that does something with it and the person who it sizzles out after sometimes as quick as days, sometimes maybe a month. But I don't even know many people. So I researched that and I did my homework and I got the answer. I got the answer to that. And it's a physical thing. You know, I always say God created a certain way that don't underestimate the power of the human body and what takes place in it and why that happens. So here's the research I came up with and what hit me. And it's a hormone called dopamine. Now, dopamine is a feel-good hormone, and everybody relates it to, getting high, drinking, drugs. You get this dopamine, but it also relates to eating disorders. It's the dopamine. That's what happens. It's the whole joke is you get your phone, and now just as it beeps, it's like a surge of dopamine that you got to look at it. And you can't dismiss the power of dopamine. It is powerful. That's why drug addicts or alcoholics, smokers, it's that dopamine. And it's very hard to break. So I said, how does dopamine relate to success? Now, success is like a drug. It's a high for me. To be in that, it's dopamine is what drives you. So they were starting to, so you look at dopamine, and dopamine's given off when you're in that euphoria state. But then they did research, and there's a direct correlation between motivation and dopamine. That they did research on lab rats, and they realized that dopamine is given off prior to the actual effect, to the high. So when you listen to a motivational speaker, I mean, think about it. Think about if you ever went to an event, and what jumps out in my mind are Tony Robbins or Grant Cardone events. What do? They make a production out of it. The lights, the visuals. Why? That all feeds into the narrative of just amping you up, but that amping you up is dopamine. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So when you're at these events, you're amped up on dopamine. And they, like I said, they found out that starts to fire prior to you even getting there. Like you ever walk in, you're already motivated.
Music pumping. Yeah. I mean, the energy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you have to say to yourself, how could I keep that? Because you can't always stay in a state of euphoria. It comes down. It's this dopamine. So when they did this research, they took lab rats with low dopamine and put piles of food, right? But they just put a little barrier, little one that they could easily get over. But the lab rats would not go for the food because they have low levels of dopamine. So here's what I came up with. Here's who you surround yourself with matters. So you get amped up, you go to these events, you come home, and the dopamine wears off, and then all of a sudden you just go, I'm not doing nothing. That's where you want to be around people who constantly feed you the dopamine, the positive energy, who you plug into. And I realize that most people don't do that. They go on their life and they don't realize or seriously believe that those people every day that they're around actually affects their success. It absolutely does. And it's because of that dopamine, because nobody's feeding into them. Now, look, doesn't mean that somebody's got to be on a stage and rock them out with some heavy duty music and stuff like that. But if you think about it, that you could talk to people that some people, what amps them up? Some music, certain type of music.
Sure.
It gets them amped up. It's the dopamine that's pouring into them. Something's got to trigger it. So what I do, and the reason why we've had so much success in the people that we surrounded ourselves with, is because I know what I'm doing is the best way I can describe it. I'm getting them high on success every time I see them. And I'm constantly pumping into their life. And if you think about, even from a sports standpoint, the best coaches were not the best athletes. The best coaches are the best motivators to get them amped up. It's the dopamine that makes you run through a freaking wall. It's a scientific thing.
I love it.
And that's why, like, people watching your show, like, I don't know, John, I get on my soapbox sometimes, and I say to people, it's easy being successful. But what happens is people think things like watching your show or plugging into Jay and Mike when they go out or any of the things that we do. Yeah, I don't need that today. No, you friggin' do need that because you don't realize what it's doing to you. It's up here. It's pumping you up to get into the positive mindset. Now let's look at the opposite. Here's the opposite side of it. Because our body does it all. It's cortisol. Now, cortisol is your fight or flight drug. It's what protects you as a human being. So when you see negative things or you're in fear, cortisol goes off. And people don't understand that there is not only a negative to your success of being around jerks, negative people, gossipers, victim mentality, all those type of people I'm describing, when you're around, gives you cortisol in your body because you feed off of it. You get that fear and you get that negative and you're like, I can't succeed. I'm not like them. It's because you're around those people that feed you that. Now, cortisol, there's a direct link between cortisol and cancer. Your body is not meant to constantly have cortisol drip into it. It's used to protect you. And what happens is we're living in a world that's got so much negativity.
100%.
That it's actually making your body toxic. And people don't realize that. And they it's not a big deal. Oh, I can go on Facebook a little bit. And then what do they do when they get off of Facebook? And I know, look, I'm preaching to the choir, to myself, because I do it every now and then, and I get off and I'm just freaking angry. And I'm like, the hell's wrong with people? And I'm giving myself my own shots of cortisol. And for what? I don't want to be around that shit. So people don't think they take that stuff as, oh, that's no big deal, or no, they were my friends for a long time, and yeah, I know they're negative, and no, it's killing you, literally killing you.
And so that ties right in. I mean, to the chemicals and the energy that our bodies put off, and it's like really when we say it's a toxic environment, it is really toxic.
Really toxic.
Yeah.
Like direct links to diseases. It's insane. And for something that was designed to protect you, and all of a sudden we're in a society that there's look, I don't know the answers to everything, that's for sure, but there's a reason why cancer's on the rise and heart attacks and obesity. It's not just the food we eat. I got that. That's true. But when our body's giving off its own chemicals that are killing it, because we're living in a culture full of so much negativity that I mean, I'm to the point I almost want to put myself in a cave and go hide to protect from this negativity that we don't really think it's hurting us, it's killing us.
Yeah.
And it is affecting your success.
100%. And we always talk about, environment is stronger than willpower, and willpower is just another form of that energy. Right. And, when you're in that toxic environment, it just beats that willpower down. And so it's so critical. Chuck, you said something in there just a second ago about, I've known them for a long time. They've been my friends. I know that. Is that another one of the reasons why people won't, elevate their company, their environment, their people who they surround themselves with is just because they have this tie. It's either family or, it's just something that, they won't separate themselves away from, so they can get in, surround themselves with better people.
Analyzing a lot of that, I come up with a few different answers. Because I've coached and mentored thousands of agents and worked with so many of them. And I'm always analyzing, why are some people always successful at what they do and some aren't? And yes, it always ties down to mindset. And so here's some of the answers for you, John. Number one, first and foremost, people are people pleasers. So people don't like conflict. So in their mind it's not bad enough to create conflict to say, hey, look, man, I can't be around you anymore. Or, hey, you need to change. People just don't like conflict. So they rather stay in their comfort environment thinking that's okay, but it's actually not okay. So that's one. Two is, there are quotes out there for reasons that make a lot of sense. And I always quote this one: misery loves company.
Mm-hmm.
And people go, well, if I surround myself with people who have it worse than me, I'm good. I feel good. But you're not good.
No.
You're not good at all. I always joke around and go, I'll give you a prime example of why I could prove to you people keep company of people who are worse because it makes them feel better. Go look at the talk shows. Or not talk shows, reality TV shows.
Yep.
Like Jerry Springer and stuff like that. And you know why people love them? And because I look at them and I go, where they get these people from? And then I go, wait, then here's what I say. Where do they get that audience from that wants to listen to this shit?
Yep.
And it's because when somebody sees somebody else's life so miserable, they feel good about themselves. They're like, my life ain't like that. Think about it. Why are shows like that popular? They shouldn't even be on the air. Could you imagine a room of so I'll go, if I took Dave Ramsey and Dan Cathy and Alan Malati and Peyton, like big successful people, do you think they watch that shit?
No.
No. So that's got to say something to you. There's more people that watch that shit, but the successful people will not subject them to that crap. It's almost like a drug, like poison, that you almost get sucked into going, what the hell? So to answer your question, most people don't cut ties with the people in their life that are toxic because they're people pleasers, they don't want conflict, and they actually make them feel good.
Yeah.
Because their lives are better than their lives.
Yeah.
But then they wonder why they're not growing. Now, look, I'm not telling you to go run out and get divorced. I'm not saying that. So who's ever watching this, don't say, you know what?
Hey, Chuck said it.
We're done. We're done. You're too toxic. But I will tell you, because I travel and I talk about this, that success is a direct correlation on your relationship at home. If you are married or with a significant other and you have a toxic relationship, it will affect your business, period, hands down. So what do you do about it? Because I don't sit and go get divorced. I believe in commitments. But here's what I would say. Have you ever had a conversation with your spouse? Not a combative one, a serious one. Because I'm going to tell you, I can't be around negative people. Not saying I'm better than them, it's just the energy they give off. Me and my wife were equally yoked. That's my best friend, my soulmate. She is with me literally 24/7. We do life together. We do business together. We go on dates at least 4 or 5 times a week. No shit, that much. And all we do is talk business. And because we don't have toxicity in our relationship, all we focus on is growth in our business and being a blessing to others. It's that powerful. How powerful.
It is. That is so amazing. And, sometimes, and what it sounds like is that, you find that one in being able to build together. Right. And so, it's not, just you and her. Right. And then, you have this impact, and then it's like, wow. Right. Being able to definitely grow together. That's awesome. And, I see it a lot, Chuck, as you do too, coaching a lot of, agents over the years. And you can tell, man, when their business is taking a hit. It's usually something, something's going on at home. And, that's really derailing them.
Yeah, they running a company and running businesses, people say, well, to their staff, leave your problems at the door. I think that's the dumbest comment ever to make. There's no such thing as leaving your problems at the door. And that's why I pour into my staff and into my people. A lot of my training has nothing to do with real estate. A lot of my training has to do with relationships. How do you get your life in order? Because if you came to me and you had problems at home, you're not going to hear a word I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So let's address that.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can hear my landscapers, but my damn landscaper's got to come now. Unbelievable. Yeah. I'm going to text my wife to tell him to
you're good. I used to do when we were in the office in Frisco. I used to do a call, and 10 minutes into the call, every week, every day. I mean, the same time every week, the landscapers would be coming by the windows. It would never fail. So I understand.
Yeah. So.
No, this is really, really good stuff, and the power of it. Right. And, Ben Horowitz, his new book came out, and he's talking on culture, and, really about his whole thing is what you do is who you are, right? That's your culture. And so how are you behaving? And, I think it says a lot about, your guys' growth is all, on your leadership capabilities, right? And I think that's what everybody, listening in, if you want a bigger business, you've got to be a better leader, and continuing to grow. And, where I love to focus, and what you just said is that, you can't lead others until you lead yourself. Yeah. And you've got to be able to lead yourself at the highest of levels, and, lead your family, lead yourself, lead your family, and being able then to lead, your business and lead others. And so that's so powerful. Chuck, what would you say, somebody kind of listening in, and they're just like, I'm kind of spinning here, Chuck, what should I do first?
As far as
they're just struggling. They're starting to realize they have an awareness that they're not in the best. I mean, listening in, they're in a good community, right, to be able to start. So that's a plus. But if they're really struggling, I know you mentioned, hey, have that tough conversation. But like, what would you, when you're coaching people through to kind of, hey, we need to get things in order here. This is where you need to, get your mind right. Like, what are some of the things that they could do if they're struggling?
So I think it all starts off with habit. If they're struggling or they're stuck, it's funny, we just did our midweek Mind Freak, and we were talking about how do you get unstuck. Look, I'm not preaching at anybody going, this happens overnight. It's a process. And it's a process that sometimes takes years. And unfortunately, we live in an environment that wants everything yesterday. And I know I'm like that too, but I also understand, although I want stuff yesterday, my mind understands it's a journey and it's a process. So here's what I recommend. Number one is recognize who's in your life. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who is your inner circle? What do they do for a living? What do they do to pick you up and bring you to another level? Just start to recognize. Two is get one person in your life or two that you say, I can really trust that person. They are motivating. They do encourage me. They do hope that I am successful, and use them as an accountability coach to hold you accountable to your commitments in growth in your mind, to your commitments. And what you want to do is, there's so much stuff out there, and I even do this with my kids. I always tell them, I want you to listen to a motivational speaker once a day. It could be for 10 minutes. Listen to one, and then tell me what you heard. If you regurgitate what you heard, you actually listen, and it makes you process it. Yeah. And what starts to happen are things that I can't explain. It's just your human nature, and it's the way we were created. Because I realized that I just started to do that, and over the years, I could feel negative energy, like literally feel it. So when I say I can't be around it, I can't be around it because it just doesn't feel good to me, not because I don't like that person. And when you start to get to that level, you know you've arrived to seeking positive stuff out. The other thing that I can tell you, a lot of people fail in their career because they are letting too much negative stuff get in that gives them self-doubt. Once you have self-doubt, man, it's tough to get out of. So you got to be able to change that type of thing. So analyze what you do for the day. I always tell people to give me some time analysis of what you do for the week, and you'll be amazed how much crap you let into this mind. So it may be, look, I understand you want to tell me you do Facebook for business, but do you really do Facebook for business? Or do you spend most of your time just watching other people's crap, getting worked up, and maybe you're one of those ones that start responding? Holy crap, that is one of the biggest things I learned. I don't say anything on Facebook anymore.
Yep.
Even to say, oh, I agree with you. I just stopped speaking because people will rip you to shreds either way. I watch that all the time, and I learn from my mistakes. So maybe you're one of those people that do that and do respond. Stop it. Maybe you're one of the people that watch news all the time. I used to watch Fox News before I went to bed every night. And Angela would say to me, what are you doing? You're coming into bed, and we go to bed together every night, all worked up. And I'm like, crap, you're right. But yet I kept doing it until I said, I need to practice what I preach. I haven't watched the news in about 2 years. And it changes you. So there's little things you could do right now. There's a lot of little things most people could do if you feel like you're not at the level you're at. So start those things, get an accountability coach that holds you accountable to that. And then here's the other thing, which I just did this morning also, is I have my 10 commitments. They're not my hopes, they're not my interests, they're commitments. And when I make a commitment, that to me is rock solid. Like my commitment to my wife, that's my wife, and I'm going to be forever with her. That's a commitment, and it's not based on what she does. Commitments aren't based on what other people do. Commitments are to yourself, regardless. And too many people go through life go, but they didn't do that, or they didn't. Well, then that's not a commitment. Anything else that's outside of your control is not a commitment. So that's the other thing. Do you have commitments in life? So there are stuff that you could start doing and you take serious that has 100% on you and not the outside world or what's going on out there. And you will start to see your life change. EXP, the reason why I joined EXP, let me tell you this, is because I didn't want to be building a company by myself. I want to build something even bigger, and the way you do that is by doing it with other people. I could only go so far. Mm-hmm. And what I had to realize is that the people in EXP truly were my partners. Look, there's people that go through your life that say they're pulling for you. If I'm running this company and they're at this company, they're not pulling for me at the end of the day. They're really not. And if I'm at Keller Williams in Arizona and I want somebody at Keller Williams in Texas to pull for me, look, I'm not saying that they're not going to pour a little bit into me, but at the end of the day, we're not equally yoked. We're not.
Nope.
EXP, whole different game, because there is a monetary value. Look, let's face it, I'm not here to BS anyone. I want to make money. I want to make money to create financial freedom and to be a blessing to others. That is my benchmark. So if we're not aligned financially, we're not aligned.
Nope.
That's what EXP does. So it gets me this opportunity to grow a company with other like-minded people.
It is. It's so I've never experienced it on this level, and it is. I mean, it's just the collaboration and the willingness, and people like you taking the time to jump here and add value, and we see it all the time, right? Just willing to help anybody and everybody that they can. It's so powerful. And when you're looking to grow, and kind of what you were saying is that we're all moving in a known we're all moving in a known direction, right? Getting clear on what that mission is, right? What it is that we're wanting to accomplish. And that's the key, right? Of making sure you're surrounding the people that, as leaders, our job is to have the vision, for our business, for our organizations. But then the second part is to be able to articulate that so our people, our teams, know what it is that we're striving for.
Yeah, Jay and Mike's and your comments about one big fire, although it's a nice tagline, there's so much truth behind it for someone who understands that mindset. Mm-hmm. The power of equally aligning with powerhouses does create this one big fire. I go one better, that's a good word, but it's energy. It's one big energy. And you can't stop momentum like that. It's not a coincidence. In the way EXP is structured, it's a twofold structure that people, I don't know if really grasp, is I built one of the largest real estate brokerages in the country by myself. I had control over that. I did what I had to do, but I could only go so far. Mm. So when you throw my energy into the energy of you guys building what you built and all these other big producing agents and big teams, and we come in and we create this ball of energy that's fueled because two things. One is, if you're in someone's downline, it's the residual income, so there's an interest. But here's the other part that I really started to grasp over the last probably 4 or 5 months because of this COVID and really understanding the power of this company is, even if someone wasn't in my downline, I have a valued interest in making sure they're hugely successful and they're recruiting and they're bringing in talent, because it protects my investment because I own this company. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to build an empire in something that I'm not going to touch other people, because I don't want this company going away. I want to grow it. So I have this valued interest. It doesn't matter where you are at EXP. And if you see, I always say, you're my partner, period. That's not just a saying. There's truth behind that. You are part of a company that I have a valued interest that I want to make sure never goes away.
Exactly.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's a huge get. I appreciate you sharing and breaking it down that way. It is so powerful. Chuck, man, amazing. I was really looking forward to this conversation. Is there anything, that, we want to just really emphasize and leave, the Honey Badger Nation with, and those that'll listen to this, in the future?
Here's what I want to leave you with. I'm no different than any of you guys out there. Any of you agents out there that are listening, that are going, oh, I wish I could have the level of success he has, or I'm not like him, or whatever negative self-talk you're thinking. Here's what I will tell you. I came from being a degenerate drug addict, drug dealer, to being a failure in the business, literally broke, ready to get out of the business, knew nothing about real estate, to building one of the largest real estate brokerages in the entire country. Don't think I'm any different than you. I'm not. Every day, I'm battling the bullshit. Boy, I feel like giving up today. Don't think that when you look at someone successful, that they're walking in a different walk than you're walking. It is not true at all. There's nobody that has all their shit together. There's nobody that knows it all. There's nobody that has some magic powers that you don't have. I deal with the same shit, the same crap, the same people I got to steer away from, the same thoughts of going, what am I doing? Let me just throw in the towel. I can't stand it no more. We all go through it. But when I'm around somebody like John, this is not, I'm just going to be honest. This ain't all about you. This is about me. Because me doing these things re-energizes me. And it tells me that's why you do what you do, Chuck. That's who you are. And so I don't want you to think I don't share the same things. Guys, if you're not successful, it is 100% your fault. Your fault. You have plenty of opportunities to plug in. And don't think for a minute that just letting a little bit negative stuff creep in every now and then is okay. It's not okay. It will grasp you. It will poison you. It will put toxic to your body. It affects you, who you surround yourself with.
Amazing. Chuck, I greatly appreciate you jumping in, adding tons of value, and really helping everybody out today. For all of you guys listening in, make sure you guys give Chuck plenty of love. And Chuck, if somebody wanted to reach out and kind of connect and maybe see if you could help them out, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Probably the best way is you'll find me on social media under the Iconic Power Couple. I would love for you to like our page. We do give a lot of good motivation and plugging into people every Wednesday morning. We do midweek Mind Freak. We just share our life and our love with you guys. And my direct number, I mean, you can put it out there, John, in the group, and I'll just say it's 480-570-8020. I do have to tell you, because every time I do give out my direct phone number, I don't have any problem with it. And people can reach out, but what happens is sometimes I get inundated with texts that are so deep.
They get buried.
I'm like, oh crap, I never responded to that person, or and I don't want to feel like I'm some jerk that doesn't respond. I want to respond to everyone. Yeah. So you can also find our book on Amazon. It's called Mastering Your Real Estate Career. And it's kind of about our life and our journey. It's an easy read, and it's just motivational and gives you some good little tidbits.
Yeah, guys, go grab a copy of that book, like the page, and tune in to the midweek Mind Freak that Chuck and the rest of the family put on. So awesome. All right, guys, appreciate y'all, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
God bless you.